So good morning, everyone, to our Hundok Heavenly Parents, Holy Community, Hundok, Oceania, with Reverend Yutaka Yamada on this day, the 3rd of January in the 9th year of Chongyol-guk. So we'll begin with our Kyombe. So let's all offer a Kyombe, chariot, Kyombe. Haro. And then we'll offer our pledge, and we'll do in Korean and then also in English, and ask Reverend Yutaka to lead the Korean. Okay. Yep, let's begin. Some.
선인국 주인, 우리 가정은 참 사랑을 중심하고 4대 심정권과 3대 왕권과 환족권을 완수할 것을 맹세하나이다.
And also now in English, our family, the owner of Chongyol-guk, pledges to perfect the 4 great realms of heart, the 3 great kingships, and the realm of the royal family by centering on true love. So I'd like to ask if Reverend Ito is there to offer the opening prayer.
Okay. Our beloved true parents, heavenly parents, and parents of heaven, earth, and humankind, we're so grateful in this occasion to start today's Oceania Hundok reading. Please be together with us, and we share your true mother's sincere speech, and we try to find out the deep heart behind that speech, and please encourage us and giving us the suggestion to more internal insight for the future, and make us a great strength to work together to promote our providence in Oceania, as well as all the Asian Pacific #2, by supporting President Hori. And with together, we're so happy to share those moments with all national leaders, members, and the staffs of Oceania region. Thank you so much to begin today's Hundok reading. We appreciate this displayed. The Blessed Central Family, Kenji Kekuito, I report to you. Aju.
Thank you. And now we'll have Hundok by Reverend Yutaka. So please, Reverend Yutaka.
Can you close your PowerPoint?
Yep.
Maybe I think greeting first.
Yes, greetings to everyone. We have 29 people connected at the moment, but there's more than, there's almost 2 in every group. So we have, so welcome everyone. And
Okay, so I will start.
Yes.
Okay, so good morning everyone, and good morning brothers and sisters. Thank you for coming this today's Hundok Day. So today is also the Sunday. So I hope we have a great time. So and also today I heard Chulmada is joining the Sunday service in Korea, especially now until 2022. Chulmada really focusing how really establish the unified, heavenly unified Korea, because Korean Peninsula is really the front line, and this is the main target place as the father nation, as the homeland. That's why how we can establish to fulfill unified North and South Korea. So those provenance is really, really important. So our brothers and sisters also please pray for that. And this week, February 17 is the January 6th heavenly calendar. So this week is True Parents' holy birthday. So now our each region centering President Holy and also all leaders now preparing the message and also sing a song. So I hope also everything going well and to really agree to Trumada. So I hope also please pray for that. So let's continue. Let's begin to today's message. Hundo, a Mother of Peace. So from today, we are going to read the chapter 1, My Cherished Lifelong Wish. A women shout Mansei for independence. So the person who read this book, maybe you can understand this chapter is started talking about Chulmada's small childhood time and even before that. So this chapter will start around the Independence Movement Day, 1919 March in Korea. So Chulmada's grandmother time. So when you read today many kind of story, so when you read this contents, please imagine in that time in Korea, almost 100 years ago. Every 10 years, 20 years, really world is totally changed. That's why 100 years ago, really that time, what kind of environment, what kind of situation in Korea, through imagination, through thinking, then really our heart can understand and can connect to our true mother. So let's begin. I will read. It was the first day of March 1919, the beginning of spring by the lunar calendar's marking of seasons. The temperature remained below freezing, and the people of Anju, a village in Pyongan province of what is now North Korea, were experiencing biting frost. A woman braved the cold to cook her family's morning meal. She lit the wood fire and set rice on the stove, and then her attention shifted from the morning routine. She lifted her arms and, from the back of a cupboard, carefully took out an item wrapped in a plain cotton cloth. So this is 1919, March, first day of March 1919. Do you know what happened in this day? This day is really important day for Korea and also important day for our true parents. So Pyongan Pukto, Pyeongan-namdo, Pyeongan province, and Anju. Do you know where is this? So I prepared a map. Can you see this one? So this is the currently Korean peninsula was separated, North Korea and also South Korea. And you can see the capital city, South Korea is in Seoul. Maybe many of you have been there already. This is Seoul. This is Seoul. And Cheonpyeong is around here. Then Busan is here. So this is in Korean side. And also Pyongyang. Pyongyang is here. And Pyongyang is the capital city of North Korea currently. But before divided the nation, actually Pyongyang is kind of the main city, and the Pyongyang was kind of the Mecca of Christianity. That's the most Christianity movement was developed in this place. This is Pyongyang. But because after divided the Korean peninsula, this place is totally taken over by Satan side and communist side. And this place, there is Pyeongan-bukdo, Pyeongan-namdo, and Anju and Jeonju. Okay, so this is North Korea. This is border. This is Seoul. This is Pyongyang. And this is China. And this side is connected by Russia. That's why actually Korean peninsula is connected to Russia side and also China border together. And this orange color is Pyeongan-bukdo, Jeonju. Do you know what is Jeonju? Jeonju is the place where True-Father was born. So this place, Jeonju, and Anju. And this is a Pyeongan-namdo. So Pyongan is this province name, orange and pink color. This is Pyongan. Bukdo meaning is north part. Namdo meaning is southern part. That's Pyongan northern side. In Jeonju, True-Father was born, and Pyongan southern part, and in Anju city, True-Mother was born. That's why even they didn't meet each other, but really they were born so close place, Jeonju and also Anju. That's why just one river here. I think maybe there's some river here. And just beside of city, True-Father and True-Mother were born even in same day. And this week, True-Father became the 101 years anniversary. And also True-Mother is the 78th birthday. So this is the North Korea and Pyeongan-bukdo and Pyeongan-namdo. That's why actually True-Father and True-Mother were not Korean people, actually North Korean people. They are born in North Korea, originally that place. Then now also, of course, in South Korea. Okay, so I will continue to read. By the light of the fire and ray of sunshine shining through a crack under the door, the women united the cloth to reveal another, larger and more substantial cloth, one with a red and blue yin-yang symbol on a white background. As she laid it out on the table, the design on the larger cloth came into full view. It was a Korean flag. This emblem of her people was always in this woman's mind, even in her dreams. Feelings of sadness and deep emotion rushed into her heart. Hearing the soft cries of her daughter who was awakening, she rolled up the flag, wrapped it again, and returned it to the back of the cupboard. With their 5-year-old daughter on her lap, this village woman shared breakfast with her husband, who had returned from his early morning work in the field. She then busied herself cleaning the kitchen, living room, porch, and yard. A little afternoon, trying to appear nonchalant, she left the house with an expectant heart, her daughter on her back, and the flag in her bosom. So this time period, this Tirumada's grandmother now try to go the gathering of this independence movement time. This around March 1st, 1919. A narrow gravel path to the Anju market meandered through her village. It joined a larger road on which she met others making their way, a farmer leading a cow, a young man carrying a heavy load on a frame carrier, a mother with a bundle on her head. Some were walking at a leisurely pace, others quickly, all heading for the market. Arriving at her destination, the women stopped in front of a vegetable stand centrally located in one of the most crowded areas of the market. Her child awoke from her afternoon nap, taken on her mother's back. Turning her head, the mother quietly looked at her beloved daughter and smiled. To this daughter, her mother's smile was the most beautiful sight in the world. So this market, one mother and a small 5-year daughter now going to the market. When they go to the street, you can see those kind of a farmer leading a cow, and also some young men have a frame carrier. This is old guy anyway, carrying the frame carrier. So I don't know in Australia or some nation still can you see those things, or there are similar things in your nation also? I don't know how many years ago. I think in Japan, maybe before I was born. I don't know your country, Australia. Did you see those kind of things? So really the farming, when I Philippines, some areas still using this kind of cow and also farming. So anyway, 100 years ago in Korea, nearly everywhere they are using, and they are really working by animal, cow, and also many kind of things. Maybe some of you watch already the Korean movie, you can understand the Korean feeling. So maybe you can imagine how Tirumada's grandmother together with small girl to walking this kind of place. So this is the map I checked in the internet. So this is the market. So there is some small houses, then there many people is gathering, and even many people is selling on the market. So even some place in Korea, still you can find this kind of market. Then they are selling the vegetable, fishes, meat, and really this conversation is really some kind of artistic conversation, dealing the price, and really try to sell each other, discounting. So this kind of really the artistic family culture we can find. So this kind of market, really we can imagine how people is gathering there and really working hard and spending. And March 1st is really the cold winter time, freezing day, people was gathering there. Okay. Suddenly, a loud shout burst through the quiet of the market. Korean independence, Mansei. As if she were a runner hearing the sound of the starting gun. The women quickly pulled the Korean flag from her bosom, waving it vigorously. She joined the crowd, shouting Mansei, victory for 10,000 years. With all her strength, she shouted Korean independence Mansei. The first shout had been a signal, and all at once, people in the market were taking out Korean flags and vigorously waving them high above their heads. From every corner of the open market, cries of Korean independence Mansei reverberated. This woman's voice was the loudest of all. Shocked by the sudden melee and score of Korean flags bursting into view, market goers unprepared for the uprising had to decide what to do. Some fled in fear of possible consequences. Others, the ones who believed in their nation's independence, joined the ranks of the demonstrators. So that day, suddenly somebody shouted Korean independence Mansei. Then the all persons who are staying there, they will take out the Korean flag, and everyone shouted Mansei. And also Korean independent Mansei, victory for 10,000 years. So that all market area suddenly changed the atmosphere, and the people gathered, and people believed surely Korea will independent. So this kind of atmosphere, this kind of spirit gathered there and showed to every place. So this is the flag, Korean flag. They really made by themselves, one by one, and people really gathered there. And this gathering started from one area and to expand to the whole peninsula, whole Korean peninsula. So all people gathered there, and they really shouted Korean independent Mansei. So this really, all people's spirit and power was there. Okay. The women had been eagerly awaiting this day. She had stayed up many nights with her daughter, sewing her nation's flag, her hands shaking. Sitting under a crescent lamp, she spoke to her daughter about Korea, its people, its faith, its ageless traditions, and the meaning of the Mansei independence movement. Listening to her mother, the little girl nodded her head, taking in everything. Now, clinging to her mother's back, she heard the shouts of Mansei. She felt the innocence and righteousness of her countrymen and women dressed in white, ready to lay down their lives for the sake of their nation's right to exist. The March 1st independence demonstrations took place not only in Anju, they occurred simultaneously in Seoul and across the nation. At most sites, they included a public reading of the Korean Declaration of Independence. This public outcry was not futile symbolism. It was an act of peaceful, non-violent protest and acclamation that the Korean people will cherish for eternity. That's why in order to have this moment, in order to do the independence movement, each person really put the heart, their faith, and also their heart, and even also they put the heart for their tradition. Because of under Japanese occupation, everything was taken out. That's why during the time, Korean people was really facing and really suffering the difficult moment, and they put the all heart, that they came out to join this Mansei independent movement, and this independent movement is expand to the whole nation of Korea. So within moment, the demonstrators' ears were assaulted by the sound of whistle and boots with batons and rifles. Dozens of policemen converged upon the market. They mercilessly struck everyone in their path. Right and left, people were beaten to the ground, bloody. The policeman did not distinguish between men or women, young or old. Desperate to protect her daughter, this mother had no choice but to hold back her tears and retreat. Although she was filled with the resolve to stand to the last, she knew that God's wish is for human fellowship, and the bloodshed would only increase the burden of pain in God's heart. And there was something else. Something told this mother that it was not yet time for her nation to rise. It told her that in the future of Korea, a woman would be born with an unprecedented destiny. A woman who would break the mold of this fallen world with this light of hope in her head. Fallen world with this light of hope in her heart, she endured the humiliation of that afternoon in accordance with God's providence and the absolute faith and love of Christian believers since biblical times. What that woman conceived in faith entered the world 24 years later. To her lineage, the only begotten daughter of God was born as the one called to fulfill that woman's dream. So this is the around when mother's grandmother time. What kind of situation is happen? Even old people put their things, put their heart for independence. But that time still Japanese army, police really did many things and really beat them, kill them, and chase them out. And that's why that time independence was not fulfilled, and Independence Day was postponed until 1945. But based on based on this foundation, Truffaut was born next year, 1920. And after 24 years later, Trumada was born in Korea, North Korean place, Anju, Pyeongwon-namdo, Anju. So this is things. So when we read this part, what do you feel? How Korean people that time, even their life will be taken out. They know if they go that place, maybe they will lose their life. Maybe they will killed. That kind of situation. But each of them really believe, I need the nation. I want to build the nation. I want to save the nation. I want to save the tradition. And I want to bring those things for the future generation. This is that time the Korean people's spirit for the nation. So now already the generation was changed and really each nation developed a lot. But who really, where we can find this kind of righteous person to die for the nation? I don't know, Australia. Do you find this kind of young people, or do you kind of some kind of people? I will die for Australia future. How about Australia, our brothers and sisters? You can die for Australia future, Australia, nation of Australia, or not? I think New Zealand brothers and sisters also here. You can die for New Zealand. I will die for New Zealand. I will save. I am the one who saved the nation of New Zealand. Solomon Island, right? Samoa, or which nation? Vanuatu, Marshall Island. Everyone is here. We can see 100 years ago, Korean people, they really risk of their life. I saved my nation, and they fought with Japanese. Anyway, they fought, then they tried to establish the nation. These things we can see and we can learn. And this is not only the story. The person who are living in 100 years ago, then they are possible, and they have determination. But current people, we cannot do. What is different? They are really serious for nation. But how about ourselves? Are we serious or not? And also true father is leading the nation of Choniku. I really need the God's nation. I want to establish the nation of God. And how about ourselves? Or who should stand for the nation of Choniku and nation of God? That's why through this mother's story, and even this story is a long time ago, but we can learn many things and we can reflect ourselves. Really, what is my attitude? What is my heart? What kind of really determination and wishes? This kind of the patriotism. When we see the society, actually, this is one of also the problem in the young people. I don't know how many young people is loving all nations. Now there are many problems happen in the society, but many people now doesn't care what's happened in the city, in the nation, even neighbors in the village doesn't care. If my life is good, if my family is happy, then it's okay. Doesn't care another person suffering. All atmosphere is already like this, dominated by really the Satan spirit or more communist spirit, the selfishness. That's why we really have to see what is our heavenly parents' wishes, true parents' wishes, and how True Mother is now leading the providence. When we totally unite with True Mother, we can have a strong vision, strong passion, and strong heart. So today is Sunday. We really everyone also join Sunday service, but also please always remind and connect how now True Mother is doing and what is our true heavenly parents' wishes to us. Today I will give the sermon, and also I will share those kind of really true family movement, where we should go. Those things also I will share. That's why I hope everyone please always, not only Fundoke message is Fundoke message, and my life is my life. Those things is not separated. Even when we are reading, but please imagine and please connect. What kind of relationship do we have? So through today's contents, which part you are impressed? And second part, through this message, really God, what He want to deliver the message to myself. And third point is how I will do today. So I hope centering today's message, everyone also share your heart, and let's start the great day and great week. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Yutaka. It's very moving listening to how True Mother's grandmother was so determined. I just overwhelming feeling of excitement, the bustle of the market. And I remember being in Korea for the blessing in 1982 and actually going to a market in Korea and seeing all of the people and so much activity, and everyone, you know, as you were saying, they were bartering, but it was very family orientated. And it was like even though people are arguing over the price, there was just so much love in the atmosphere, and I felt really captivated, and seeing all the animals on sale and all the produce, and I could imagine, you know, this is where she came to such a place, and so much happening, and then the shout, and they pull out the flag. I just felt, you know, this excitement of the time, you know, even though very serious and at the risk of their life, because they knew that the army or the police, the Japanese police that were occupying them would come at any moment, but still, you know, the excitement, you know, of freedom, you know, was you know, so resounding. So I got this feeling that God is so desperate to see, you know, us free at last. You're not bounded by Satan's you know, lies, or bounded by Satan's false love, but to be free, and to feel the joy of, you know, being one united family. So I had this feeling during that time you're reading, and yeah, that's our goal, you know, is to become that one united family, to become that you know, group of people who are excited to talk about our heavenly parents, to share about our true mother, and to really, you know, bring this new wave of change, so that we really live in a world of peace and harmony. Because that demonstration was, as mother said, was non-violent. Though everyone was there, but it became violent. But we have to follow the same model, the same path. So yes, I was very inspired and encouraged by that. So I'd like to open it up for those who'd like. Yes, Mr. Wright. Yes.
Yeah, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Reverend Yutaka's explanation, and prepare for map and the detail, and truly it's realized. And I think we are here with some Japanese. It's attending Reverend Yutaka, Reverend Tanaka, and also you know, other Kenji from New Zealand, and just John said about Japanese police. That time, 19. Now Japan is very peaceful police and army, but at that time, I am really uncomfortable. But that time of the Japanese army was incredible strong, and you can't imagine. It is absolutely occupy, you know, Korean Peninsula. Not easy, maybe not easy to, I think. If we try to imagine, but I think, I don't know, we can truly understand or the situation. Then under the situation and how people can resist, it's it is really need courage and spirit and heart, and just before father born, I think it's actually that kind of people's courage, and I think it's prepared for the father's born, and so mother and the grandmother, and that time Devlin was 5 years old, and spent that kind of moment. Just I like to really, you know, pray and reflect. such a moment history, and that is beyond our imagination, but we really reflect. I really feel thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rai. Does someone else like to make a comment or reflection? Yes, Doug? No, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Yamada, for this morning's service. The numbers of the March 1st, 1919 movement, Father used a lot. And Mary and I were living in America when we saw how accurately and powerfully Father used it. There came to be a call by True Father for the American members to accomplish the 144,000 clergy couple blessing, you know? And we went, wow, how can we bless 144,000 clergy in America? But Father relied upon the power of the March 1st movement. So he called for Korean national messiahs to come to America, and exactly 33 Korean national messiahs came. And that parallels, it's not mentioned in the book, but it parallels when Yu Guan-soon reached out to the Korean people to initiate the March 1st movement. 33 scholars, I believe they were scholars, but 33 great Korean leaders supported that work. And then those Korean leaders empowered our movement so much, you know? And I remember one example, he wanted to give us confidence. So he wanted to show it wasn't just the Korean leaders, but thousands of Japanese sisters came, you know? And we had this one Reverend Pong on Long Island in New York, and I knew him already through a friend, just amazing, wonderful leader. So he was talking to me one time and he said, I want to show you what the clergy will see when they meet the Japanese sisters. So I had been doing fasting when he asked me, tonight, at the end of your fast, I'll show you exactly what the clergy will see. So the Japanese sisters made this like porridge for me to end the 3-day fast. And then he asked me, close your eyes. So I closed my eyes, and he had each one of the Japanese sisters spoon feed me this porridge. It was so warm and so intimate. And I felt the Holy Spirit so powerfully, you know? So this gave us the idea of what a clergyman feels when we walk in their office with the Japanese sisters, you know? And this kind of experience, you know, I think the next day, we went from complete hopelessness to hope. And that's what the whole March 19th thing is about, hope. They needed that to have hope, you know? And then the next day, actually, one sister who was an incredible witnesser, she stood up in the middle of St. Patrick's Cathedral, you know, with a big sign, Reverend Moon is the Messiah.
Oh.
And she was arrested, you know? But the thing is, she put fire in our belly. Even though she was arrested, she was willing to like die, you know? And then the police said, why did you do this, you know? Somehow the police were very kind to her. He says, we know Reverend Moon. We like Reverend Moon. Yeah, we have no problem, you know? But you should have asked permission, something like that. I just can't remember the details. But from her doing that, she broke through And the next day, sisters went out and met and gave and shared the holy wine with 9 ministers in one day, you know, from going from absolute impossible and hopelessness to 9 and then 12 and then before all over the whole country. And for the March 1st until May, March, April, until May, I think it was 70 days or 40 days, I can't remember actually, it was achieved, you know. The 144,000 clergy were actually reached and they drank the holy wine, you know. So it's such an amazing story, this story. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Doug. Very. I see Santosh with your hand up. Can you please?
Thank you very much. Today's Hunduk reading brought me back my memory to the birthplace I was born in Nepal. There are still many places in Nepal where it was 100 years before in Korea. Luckily, I had chance to stay in Korea for 5 years, and I had chance to visit almost each and every corner of Korea. And I had chance to study Korean history, basically contemporary Korean history, starting from the colonization of Japan. I had chance to deeply study and understand. Whenever I study Korean history, I always put true parents inside that history. And when I read especially True Mother's autobiography, and then I became very clear. So True Mother explained in such a good way that it makes very clear. If someone knows the Korean history, people can enter inside that True Mother's story, and people can imagine that he or herself, himself or herself, they were inside that. It's like watching movie. If you understand Korean history of that time and read True Mother's autobiography, it's like watching movie. It's like watching movie. You are going together with True Mother. True Mother, you are elder than True Mother, I don't know. And then you are, you see True Mother in the back of her mother and everything, and you can participate yourself in the liberation history, all the history. So, especially, I have been to the harbor of Busan. And then when I go there, each and every time I go there, when I go to the first church in Busan and I go to the Tears of Rock and everywhere, I can imagine myself reading the history that this place must be like that time, and people used to come here. And I read somewhere that Father Onpil Kim was working in a restaurant, and Father used to go and see Onpil Kim once in a week, and then Father used to get hungry every time. And then when he used to go to Onpil Kim, the restaurant where Onpil Kim used to work, and then Father will eat 2 bowls of rice. Usually in Korea, the Korean people, they eat only 1 bowl of rice. That is enough. That is the standard. But Father used to eat 2 bowls of rice, 2 bowls of rice. And I can still, there are some people we see, those Korean people, when they order food, they finish 1 bowl of rice and again they order the second bowl of rice in the restaurant. When I see that, then I say, oh, maybe Father used to do the same thing. Yeah, and I felt the heart of the people who are hungry for 2 days, 3 days and didn't eat enough food. So history of Korea and true parents growing up in that time, and how true parents were raised by themselves is amazing experience. Even when I teach True Parents Life course among the VIPs and among the members, new members, I always do a comparative study of Korean history and True Parents Life course. And I found VIPs and members are very interested to learn in that way, because True Parents represent the modern history of Korea. True Parents represent the modern history of Korea, the contemporary history of Korea. And thank you, Itaka-san, that you put all those pictures and made it more lively the Hundake today was more lively because of those pictures and the explanation that Itaka-san gave. Even what he was talking was in the street market. Even we go to Korea, even I still remember 2002, 2003, even in Chongpyeong, in the Sorak-myeon, and even still now, Friday, usually Saturday, if you little bit go outside of the city, you still can see the people selling the vegetables, market side, and they come and they sell their thing. Still, you can have that vibe in Korea, and it's really nice to see or imagine that you were there. Today's Zundagi really brought me back to Korea and to Sorak-myeon and everywhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Santosh. We have time for one more person before we do our 7-minute unison prayer. So who would like to make a comment or a reflection? Yes. No, that's okay. We'll just go into our unison prayer, and I'll just share the screen and bring it up. All right. So thank you, everyone. Let's offer 7 minutes unison prayer.
To parents who are united in mankind, okay, as brothers and sisters around our
Adieu, adieu, adieu. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining us in Hundok, and let's have a great Sunday. Okay. See you. Okay. Bye.
Okay, have a good day. Thank you.
Good day.
Bye bye. Bye bye. See ya.